Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Renuka bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring to you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. Japan's Prime Minister Kishida Fumio to arrive on a two-day visit to India on Monday. Bilateral and regional issues of mutual interest high on the agenda. India and Maldives review defence ties during 4th Defence Cooperation Dialogue in Male. First Labour 20 meeting under India's G20 presidency begins in Punjab. Sustainable livelihood, employment and labour-related issues to be discussed. Former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan booked on terror charges over chaos outside judicial complex in Islamabad. Russia's President Vladimir Putin makes surprise visit to Mariupol. In boxing, Vareen and Manisha Maun enter pre-quarterfinals in Women's World Championships in New Delhi. And in cricket, Australia defeat India by 10 wickets in second ODI at Visakhapatnam. Level 3 match series 1-1. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister of Japan Kishida Fumio will arrive in New Delhi on Monday for a two-day visit to India. He is scheduled to hold talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. During the meeting, both the sides will discuss bilateral and regional issues of mutual interest. They will also discuss their priorities for their respective presidencies of the G7 and G20. The visiting dignitary will give the 41st Sapro House lecture in the afternoon. India-Japan relations were elevated to special strategic and global partnership in 2014. India-Japan partnership encompasses a wide range of areas ranging from defense and security, trade and investment, science and technology, education and healthcare. More from our correspondent.
Defense and security cooperation has emerged as one of the most important pillars of the India-Japan Special Strategic and Global Partnership. It is an important factor in ensuring peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific region. Both countries are also making steady progress under the Defense Equipment and Technology Agreement signed in 2015. The meeting between the two prime ministers is being held at a significant time when India and Japan are holding the presidencies of the G20 and G7. This visit gives an opportunity to cooperate and discuss on how G20 and G7 can work together on converging priorities on critical global issues including food and health security, energy transitions and economic security. Suparna Setia, AIR News, Delhi.
The 4th Defence Cooperation Dialogue between India and the Maldives was held in Male on Sunday. The dialogue was co-chaired by Defence Secretary Giridhar Aramani and his Maldivian counterpart Major General Abdullah Shamal. During the interaction, ongoing bilateral defence cooperation activities were reviewed and both sides expressed satisfaction at the increasing engagements. The talks covered the existing bilateral exercises, with both the countries agreeing to increase the complexity of these drills. The Ministry of Defence in a statement said the Defence Cooperation Dialogue is the highest institutionalized interactive mechanism between the two countries. The armed forces of India and the Maldives continue to seek bilateral cooperation in multiple fields, and the increased engagements are a positive sign for the future of bilateral relations. Defence Secretary Giridhar Aramani said that India looks forward to continue engagement based on the common understanding reached at this Defence Cooperation Dialogue. During his visit to the Maldives, the Defence Secretary also called on Minister of Defence Maria Ahmed Didi and Minister of State Foreign Affairs Abdullah Shahid. A two-day First Labour 20 L20 meeting has begun at Amritsar in Punjab on Sunday. L20 is one of the engagement groups under G20. It comprises leaders and representatives of trade union centres of G20 countries who provide analysis and policy recommendations aimed at addressing labour-related issues. Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh, India's largest labour organisation, is hosting the L20 inception meeting under India G20 presidency along with other leading trade unions of the country. Trade union delegates, experts and labour leaders from 20 countries are participating in the event. The inception meeting of L20 is a watershed moment to collaborate with the world on critical global issues. Discussions on key sustainable livelihood and employment-related subjects, including universalization of social security, social protection from informal workers, and skill training and skill upgradation, role and responsibilities of employers are being taken up in the meeting. The second meeting of the Startup 20 Engagement Group under India's G20 presidency concluded in Gangtok on Sunday. Presenting the closing remarks, Startup 20 Chair Dr. Chintan Vaishnav commended the Startup 20 Engagement Group's phenomenal journey within a short time frame and highlighted the roadmap for building consensus around ideas presented by representatives from diverse startup ecosystems. He urged all to maintain the intensity of deliberations to be able to prepare the final policy communique within the targeted next 100 days. Dr. Vaishnav stressed increasing stakeholders' participation from all G20 nations, aggressive engagements, social media amplification of messages from Startup 20 meets, and exploring the virtual engagement format for more convenient and increased participation. He also suggested creating linkages within and outside G20 engagement groups, citing the example of the Startup 20 Sikkim Sabha, which was followed by a Business 20 meeting. More from our correspondent.
The final day of Startup 20 Sikkim Sabha included meetings on deliverables under the Startup 20 task forces of Foundation, Alliance, Finance, Sustainability and Inclusion. Mentoring, market access and funding were identified as critical areas for startups. The need for a single window platform for easing access to funds and knowledge sharing across G20 nations was highlighted. Establishing a common Startup 20 fund, harmonizing taxes, capacity building, a rating mechanism for startups, economic inclusion of underrepresented groups of society were among the key recommendations and observations for policymakers. The next Startup 20 meets are scheduled in Port Blair in April and in Bengaluru in May before the Startup 20 Summit in Gurugram in July. With Diliram Dulal Saikal Sarkar from Gangtok for AIR.
Nagaland is all set to host the G20 Business Summit 2023 at Kohima on the 5th of April. Nagaland Chief Secretary Mr. J. Alam said the state government is fully prepared and preparations are underway for a grand welcome of the G20 delegates. He said various infrastructure at the airport, roads and venues are being revamped for the grand event. Mr. Alam said about 110 delegates are being expected to visit. Delegates from big continental corporations, ambassadors and other senior representatives of their respective countries will be attending the summit, he added. The State Chief Secretary said the business meeting will mainly focus on agriculture and allied services, food processing industry and tourism. He expressed hope that through this event, the state will be able to create investment opportunities. He also informed that besides the business summit, cultural events showcasing the strengths of Nagaland will be another highlight of the event. The Chief Secretary informed that the delegates will arrive on special flights on the 4th of April. He said the delegates will be accorded a formal welcome on the day of their arrival at the Capital Cultural Hall in Kohima, while the business meetings will take place at the State Banquet Hall on the 5th of April. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that India's economic and banking systems are strong in the midst of the global crisis. Speaking at the India Today conclave in New Delhi on Saturday, Mr. Modi said, "Whatever India is achieving today, it is due to the power of its democracy and the institutions." He said, India is tackling unprecedented circumstances and creating a global example. The Prime Minister pointed out that today the circumstances faced by India are completely different, where the global challenges are comprehensive in nature and come in many forms. He highlighted that the India moment being discussed around the world today is not ordinary, especially when the largest pandemic in 100 years hit the world along with the ongoing war between two nations. Mr. Modi said that the world is showing its trust in India. India's President Draupadi Murmu, who is in Lakshadweep as part of a 6-day tour, on Sunday interacted with members of Women's Self-Help Groups, SHG, at Kavarati. During her interaction, the President said while women dedicate themselves to the well-being of their family, they should also take ample care of their own health and finances. She called upon women to provide good education to their children irrespective of their gender and urged them to make those women role models who came up in life despite severe odds. The SHG members who interacted with the President are engaged in seaweed farming, rearing of ornamental fishes, poultry and nutrition farming. Lakshadweep Administrator Praful Patel was present on the occasion. On Monday, the President will participate in water sport activities and will take a boat ride around the lagoon covering Tinakara and Parali Islands. On Tuesday, President Murmu will reach Agati Airport, from where she will proceed to Kochi on her way back to New Delhi. The Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, FSSAI, on Sunday held brainstorming sessions on the sidelines of the two-day Global Millets Sri Lanka conference in New Delhi. Speaking at the event, India's Health and Family Welfare Secretary Rajesh Bhushan highlighted that the millets have been cultivated historically. However, the total area under millets cultivation has come down significantly. He also stressed identifying the root cause of the decline and addressing it while taking the campaign forward. The conference aims at engaging nutritionists, health experts, policymakers, industry leaders, international speakers and key stakeholders in taking forward the various initiatives of the government and to deliberate on millets consumption, health benefits, research, innovations, sustainability and food system transformation. The third annual edition of the International SME Convention 2023 began in New Delhi on Sunday. The main focus areas of the convention are India's major four sunrise sectors, which are clean tech and green energy, manufacturing, services sector and agro-food processing and agri-implement sector. More than 1,500 participants are expected to attend the convention. India's Minister for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, Narayan Rane, will attend the three-day SME convention on Monday. The Indian government will organize a two-day global conference on digital health, taking universal health coverage to the last citizen in New Delhi from Monday. The Union Health Ministry said, leveraging India's presidency of the G20, India and WHO Southeast Asia Regional Office will organize the conference. The conclave will bring together global leaders and health development partners, health policy makers, digital health innovators and influencers, academia and other stakeholders. Health and Family Welfare Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandaviya will chair the two-day global conference. The conference will address the issues to accelerate the implementation of connected digital health initiatives. It will also focus on to unlock the potential of delivering and sharing digital health solutions in an ethical, safe, secure, reliable, equitable and sustainable way. The conference will also focus on finding ways to invest, develop and share digital technologies following principles of transparency, accessibility, privacy and confidentiality. The ministry said this will also help in establishing strategic enablers and technology enablers required for implementing digital health at population scale. The three-day International Conference on Natural Farming for Revitalizing Environment and Resilient Agriculture concluded on Sunday at Central Agricultural University CAU in Imphal. The closing ceremony was attended by India's Minister of State for External Affairs and Education, Dr. R.K. Ranjan. While addressing the ceremony, the minister spoke about focusing over importance of natural farming and exhorted the efforts of CAU Imphal. He also said that natural farming should be included in higher education as a course for undergraduate and postgraduate programs. During the 3 days long international conference, altogether 8 technical sessions were organized on different topics. Scientists from India and 14 foreign countries participated in the conference. In today's Hotspot section, we bring you a news commentary on India making strides in Atmanirbharta in defense.
In a big boost to Atmanirbharta, or self-reliance in the key defense sector, the Defense Ministry has given preliminary approval to major military modernization. Projects worth 70,584 crore rupees have been preliminarily cleared. The projects include 69 maritime helicopters, 225 BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles, and 307 heavy-duty artillery guns. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has on many occasions said that India should be self-reliant in defense. Ever since 2014, the government has accorded priority to indigenization. The prime example of this is the INS Vikrant, the indigenously built aircraft carrier that was dedicated to the nation by the Prime Minister in September 2022. In another major boost to Atmanirbharta in defense sector, Prime Minister Modi dedicated to the nation Hindustan Aeronautics Limited's or HAL's helicopter facility at Tumkuru in Karnataka last month. This facility will build light utility helicopters, light combat helicopters and Indian multi-role helicopters between 3 and 15 tons. The facility has the capacity to build 1,000 such helicopters over a period of 20 years. The light utility helicopters is an indigenously designed and developed 3-ton class single-engine multi-purpose utility helicopter with unique features of high maneuverability. Initially, this factory will produce around 30 helicopters per year and can be enhanced to 60 and then 90 per year in a phased manner. Throwing light on the aerospace sector, the Prime Minister pointed out that the investment made in the last 9 years is 5 times the amount of investment made in the aerospace sector in the 15 years before 2014. Prime Minister Modi underlined that Made in India arms and ammunitions are not just supplied to the armed forces. India's defense exports have also grown manifold when compared to the years before 2014. He emphasized that hundreds of helicopters are going to be manufactured in the Tumkuru facility in the near future, which will give rise to businesses worth 4 lakh crore rupees. When such manufacturing units are set up, it does not just strengthen the armed forces, but also creates employment and self-employment opportunities, Mr. Modi observed. He underlined that small businesses near the helicopter manufacturing facility in Tumkuru will get empowered. The Prime Minister emphasized that with the spirit of nation first, success is assured. He talked about revamping and reforms in the working of the public sector enterprises as well as opening up opportunities for the private sector. Hindustan Aeronautics Limited plans to produce more than 1,000 helicopters in the range of 3 to 15 tons with a total business of over 4 lakh crore rupees over a period of 20 years. Besides generating direct and indirect employment, the Tumkuru facility will boost the development of surrounding areas through its CSR activities with large-scale community-centric programs on which the company will spend substantial amounts. All this will result in improvement in the people's lives in the region. The 70,584 crore rupees defense modernization projects would be a huge morale booster for the domestic defense industry. Out of the 70,584 crores, 32,000 crore rupees have been earmarked for 60 utility helicopters to be developed by HAL. These choppers would be in the 5.5-ton class like the advanced light helicopters. They will have foldable rotors for deployment on warships. The Defence Acquisitions Council also cleared 3,800 crore rupees for acquisition of 9 advanced light helicopter Mark III for the Indian Coast Guard. 20,000 crore rupees have been earmarked for 225 BrahMos extended range missiles for frontline destroyers and frigates of the Indian Navy. The BrahMos ER fly at almost 3 times the speed of sound. According to analysts, in order to keep pace with emerging technologies and counter adversaries, the necessity for new weapons and systems has been felt. Analysts also said that at present, 99% of procurements of the defense sector are sourced from India's domestic industry.
This is All India Radio giving you the world news. The Islamabad police have filed an FIR including terrorism charges against former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan and more than a dozen other PTI leaders for attacking police officers and causing chaos outside the Federal Judicial Complex FJC. Hour-long clashes were reported between PTI workers and the police on Saturday after the former Prime Minister reached the FJC to attend a hearing in the Toshkhana case. In the violent confrontation, a contingent of law enforcers and PTI supporters used anti-riot gear against each other with tear gas used from both the sides to push the opposing side back. The PTI workers used rocks against the police alongside petrol bombs to set their vehicles on fire. The mob also set a police chowki on fire, and during the confrontation, over 25 officials got injured. Meanwhile, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf PTI Senior Vice President Fawad Chaudhry said that the party will register cases against police officers involved in the operation and violence during a raid to arrest Imran Khan and his Zaman Park residence in Lahore. Former Punjab Chief Minister and PTI President Chaudhry Parvez Elahi termed the police raid at Zaman Park a grave violation of the Lahore High Court orders. The statement of the senior PTI leaders comes a day after the Punjab police resumed operation at Imran Khan's residence and arrested several party workers. The action of the police came after Imran Khan left for FJC to appear before a court. Russian President Vladimir Putin has made a surprise visit to Mariupol. Putin arrived in Mariupol by helicopter, accompanied by Russian Deputy Prime Minister Marat Khusnulin. The President visited several districts of the city to inspect the progress of restoration efforts, including the construction of new residential districts, social and educational facilities, housing and communal services infrastructure. Putin also drove through the streets of Mariupol to inspect the facilities and spoke with residents. On Saturday, the Russian president was in Crimea to mark the 9th anniversary of the peninsula's reunification with Russia. A deal allowing Ukraine to export millions of tons of grain through the Black Sea has been extended. Russia has warned it will not allow the deal to go on longer unless sanctions against Moscow are softened. The UN and Turkey had brokered the export agreement last July following fears of a global food crisis. Ukraine is one of the world's top producers of grain, but its access to ports in the Black Sea was blocked by Russian warships in February last year. Countries that suffer from food insecurity, such as Yemen, rely heavily on these supplies. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan announced an agreement on extending the deal on Saturday, with hours to go before it was due to expire. Representatives from the Ministry of Economy, UAE, recently held a bilateral meeting with representatives of Deputy International Trade for the People's Republic of China at the UAE-China Economic Forum held in Dubai. The meeting aimed at strengthening joint investment opportunities in various economic sectors, including trade, logistical transportation, real estate, financial services, technology, and insurance activities. During the meeting, UAE emphasized the UAE-China strategic partnership and cooperation, which have witnessed a significant development over the past 4 decades in various fields, particularly economic and trade, and highlighted that the historical ties serve the two countries' development direction and support the growth and sustainability of their economies. The non-oil intra-trade value between the two countries amounted to over $72 billion in 2022, achieving an 18% growth rate. Additionally, China ranks as the third largest foreign investor in the UAE globally, with a balance of foreign direct investments that amounted to $9.3 billion until the beginning of 2021, achieving growth of 514.5%. During the meeting, the Chinese side was briefed on the UAE's economic policies that aim to enhance the competitiveness of the investment environment and its growth. Sri Lanka Ceylon Bank has opened an Indian rupee-dominated nostro account in Indian Bank in Mumbai. The arrangement will help settle cross-border transactions using Indian rupee between the two nations. In a statement, the Sri Lankan bank said the initiative will enable local customers to enter into transactions denominated in Indian rupee, eliminating the need to conduct trade and remittance transactions in US dollars. India has been trying to increase Indian rupee-based trade settlements, which will help the traders on both sides given shortages in foreign exchange. 19 officers from the 3 services of the Indian Armed Forces reached Sri Lanka on Sunday. The delegation arrived at the Bandarananike International Airport in Colombo. The officers are on a week-long strategic study tour under the 46th Higher Air Command course. The delegation consists of selected officers under training for senior command and staff appointments from the 3 services. During the visit, the officers are scheduled to visit and interact with Sri Lankan Naval Command, Coast Guard and the Air Force. The visit serves as an opportunity to further strengthen India's defence partnership with Sri Lanka. Afghanistan has sought help from the United Nations, the UN, amid rising concerns about drought in the country, asking the UN to provide storage facilities for wheat. According to the Afghan news agency, the Chamber of Agriculture and Livestock has called the UN to help the country. Notably, Afghanistan's economy turned upside down after the Taliban seized power in the country in August 2021. Since then, the nation is under a humanitarian crisis as the citizens continue to live miserable lives. Regarding the ongoing food crisis, a spokesperson for the Taliban-led Agriculture Ministry, Musabahuddin Mustain, said the Ministry of Agriculture has sent a plan to the Cabinet to allocate the purchase budget of 1 lakh tons of wheat for the emergency situations. At least 16 people died and more than 24 people were reportedly injured when a bus fell into a ditch in Madaripur district of Bangladesh. The accident took place on Sunday. The bus was on its way to Dhaka when the driver lost control on the approach road to Patna Bridge in the Simana area of Madaripur district. The bus broke the side railing on the highway and crashed into the roadside ditch, killing 14 people, including the bus driver, on the spot. 2 more people died on the way to the hospital. North Korea fired a short-range ballistic missile towards the sea off the east coast of the Korean peninsula on Sunday, the latest in series of tests carried out by it since the beginning of the year. According to a South Korean military statement, the missile launched from Dongchang-ri site on the west coast flew some 800 kilometers before hitting a target. Japan's defense ministry said the missile flew as high as 50 kilometers. In Ecuador, at least 12 people have died after a powerful 6.7 magnitude earthquake struck the southern coast of the country on Saturday. According to media reports, buildings have been damaged in several cities following the quake. The southern province of El Oro was the worst affected, where emergency services have reported people to remain trapped inside collapsed houses. 11 deaths were reported in El Oro and 1 in Azue province. Machala and Cuenca were among the cities that suffered damage to the buildings and vehicles. The epicenter was near Balao, about 80 kilometers from Ecuador's second largest city, Guayaquil, where about 3 million people live. In cricket, Australia defeated India in the second one-day international by 10 wickets at Visakhapatnam. Put into bat first, Indian batsmen were all out for 117 in just 26 overs. Virat Kohli with 31 and Akshar Patel with 29 were the top scorers for the hosts. Mitchell Starc wreaked havoc with 5-wicket haul. Sean Abbott took 3 and Nathan Ellis 2 wickets. In reply, Australia overhauled the target in just 11 overs without losing a single wicket. They scored 121 with Mitchell Marsh scoring 66 and Travis Head 51. The 3-match series is now levelled at 1-1. India won the first ODI in Mumbai by 5 wickets. Boxing star Vareen has stormed into the pre-quarter-finals of the Women's World Championships in New Delhi. Nikhat blew away Algeria's Boulam Romayessa to secure the pre-quarters berth at the 50-kilogram event. Nikhat downed the reigning African champion by 5-0 unanimous verdict. The win was Nikhat's second in the tournament. Last edition's bronze medalist Manisha Maun, 57 kg, too advanced to the round of 16 with a 5-0 win against Rahimi Tina of Australia. And now a quick look at the headlines once again. Japan's Prime Minister Kishida Fumio to arrive on a 2-day visit to India on Monday. Bilateral and regional issues of mutual interest high on the agenda. India and Maldives review defence ties during 4th Defence Cooperation Dialogue in Mali. First Labour 20 meeting under India's G20 presidency begins in Punjab. Sustainable livelihood, employment and labour-related issues to be discussed. Former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan booked on terror charges over chaos outside judicial complex in Islamabad. Russia's President Vladimir Putin makes surprise visit to Mariupol. In boxing, Vareen and Manisha Maun enter pre-quarterfinals in Women's World Championships in New Delhi. And in cricket, Australia defeat India by 10 wickets in second ODI at Visakhapatnam. Level 3 match series 1-1. And now, before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favourite bhajan Vaishnavajan by artists from Japan. And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.